Hi everyone, it's Sophia from Smart Women. Today I'm here to talk about scheduling for freedom and for profits in your business. So I know a lot of business women who really struggle with running a business that feels like their business is running them instead of them being in charge of their business. And whether you've started a business or you're thinking about one of the big motivators is often this idea of freedom, this idea to be able to run your life the way that you want. And when we have kind of this blank slate, it can be a little bit challenging to find meaning in that, to organize ourselves in a way that's efficient, and also to feel like we're getting the lifestyle that we want, which is part of the reason we may have started our business in the first place. So today I want to share a scheduling activity, which is really more of a thought exercise than an actual schedule way to implement your schedule, to help you think about how you want to integrate the lifestyle that you're looking for into your business, and also how to figure out some of the first few steps of pricing. So we're not going to go far down the road for pricing today, but this is one of the really big building blocks for that. So why schedule in your business? What's the point? What can it achieve? Well, we often find ourselves, like I said, in a situation where we can feel like our business is running us instead of the other way around. We may also feel like we have too much to do and we don't know how to prioritize, or we're not sure how to take that blank slate of time and organize it in a way that's going to be efficient and make us the happiest. And what can happen as a result is that we end up resentful of our business, frustrated, and feeling like we're not making the most of the time that we have. So the exercise I'm going to share with you today has a few different benefits and can be applied in a couple of different ways to your business. So a few things that we're going to be looking to explore when we do this scheduling activity is, number one, getting really real about the capacity we have to work in and on our business. So that means, how much time do I personally have to spend working on my business, doing marketing, business, admin, accounting, and in my business, working at my store, making my product, or selling my service. Because once we know our capacity, we are able to price effectively. The other thing is, it's going to help us to plan our business around the lifestyle that we want to live. So when we get really conscious about how we want to live our life and how we want our business to serve that, we can start to use scheduling as a way to organize it. Now, this isn't necessarily relevant to every single industry. In particular, if you run retail, or maybe you're in tourism, or careers or businesses that are a little bit more dependent on the customer side, but they do help you to plan out your time spent on the business, when you might get help on the business, so that working on and in your business is actually enjoyable instead of a process that makes you resentful. This is also a really great screening tool for people to figure out what kind of business might be really good for them. So if you can map out your ideal lifestyle, then you can start to think about which business ideas are going to best fit the lifestyle that you're looking for. The other thing that a business schedule can do is really help you to set business boundaries. So clients respond really well when there's clarity to when we're open and not open, when we're available, and when we're working times that feel uncomfortable for us or don't serve us, that can really affect the service that we provide. As an example, I know a yoga teacher who was teaching in the evenings, and she really struggled with it. Even though she enjoyed the students that were coming to her classes, she found teaching in the evenings really exhausting. And when she was able to switch her schedule up, she was still able to do the thing that she loved, teach yoga, but do it in a way that was fueling her instead of depleting her. The last thing that scheduling can do, and we're not going to go very far down this path today, is that it can set you up for pricing and business planning. So when you know how much time you have to work, as well as kind of seasonally in a year, when you're working and when you're not working, maybe your business is seasonal, or maybe you want to take really big chunks of time off. This can help you when you're doing your business planning and your pricing. So scheduling is really foundational to putting together kind of a business plan. And that's what we're going to dive into today. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we go. Scheduling exercise in practice. So I'm going to show you kind of a sample one using an example from my life, and we'll walk through the steps that you can use. So step number one is to start by blocking out all of the times in an ideal world that you want to be doing non-work activities. I want you to start by imagining an ideal world. So we're just going to take a break from reality for the moment and just really think about if you were living your ideal life, doing all the things that you wanted to have time for, what would that look like? And basically this helps us to know, go from having a totally blank slate to knowing when we are available to work. So as you can see from my example, I have a few different things going on. And the way we start with this activity is to look at weekly or bi-weekly. So you might find that your life is a little bit more bi-weekly scheduled like mine, or weekly is fine. Then we expand to monthly and we'll move up to yearly. So in my ideal month, in my ideal week, what we can see is that family time is really important to me. Every other week, I do pickups from 3 to 5:30 for my stepson. So those are times that I am not available to work. 3 nights a week, I've decided I want family time to be really critical, but I also know that some of my clients need me available in the evenings, and so I'm willing to do that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Sundays are really important family day to me, as well as Saturday evenings, but I am willing to work every other Saturday in the morning to do client sessions. Lunchtime is really important to me. Taking time to eat well, go for a walk, stretch is really important. And also my morning routine is really important. So I need to stretch, meditate, have breakfast, take things easy in the morning in order to really set the course for my day. So things to think about when you're looking at your ideal week is, when do you want to schedule family time? When do you want to schedule workouts, eating healthy? When do you want to schedule personal time just to do nothing? Do nothing time is so important. Meditation time, spiritual time. When do you want to schedule time for friends, for hobbies? Do you love pottery class and you can only go on Sundays at 2? Like those kinds of things. And also, it's really important to think about, when are the times that you don't work well? So if you're a really great early in the morning, but you tank after lunch, is there a way to schedule your day so that you do most of your work early in the morning and you don't do any work after lunch when you've tanked? So thinking about your own personal energy levels and your working patterns is also really important when you're putting together this ideal schedule. I like to use this time blocking method. It's not a requirement. Get creative, do something that works for you. But I find it's a really visual way to map out the time that I have available to work. So I did some quick math. And if I scooch over here, what I can see is that on weeks 1 and 3 of my month, I have 30 hours available to work a week. And on weeks 2 and 4, I have about 46. I've also decided in my ideal life that I'm taking 1 Friday off a month, which means I'm losing 8 hours a month. So I have a total of 144 hours available to me every month, which is great to look at. So that helps me to get a sense of what my days and weeks look like on a very specific level, and then to broaden up to the monthly level. The other piece is to factor in the yearly, and there's 2 big reasons to do that. One is if you run a business that's seasonal at all, so maybe you only operate from April to October or October to April, and we all take yearly vacations, right? So thinking about your year, and honestly, the best way that I have found to do this is to download the monthly calendar template, print 12 of them, put them up on a big wall. Maybe you do this with your partner, maybe you do it alone, and you just look at the year. You could do it based in reality for what you have planned for the next 12 months, or you could do it based on your ideal world and block off times that you don't want to work or that you're going to be busy doing other things. So you can see here, I did a calculation. I don't find these numbers as useful when we get to the yearly place. Where this gets helpful is when we start to do business planning and number crunching, which we're not going to do in this video, but it is helpful to calculate. So I took my yearly hours, just my monthly total times 12. I decided I want to take 2 months off, so minus 288 gives me 1,440 hours per year that I'm actively working. So we're not going to do anything with that information today, but it is useful information to know. All right. Step 2 is to then make a list of all the tasks that you have in your business. And there's two types of tasks that we want to think about. And I'm going to show you here the activity that I went through. Or you can think about the work you need to do. So those tasks are, there's tasks that you do working on your business. That would be your marketing, your accounting, your business planning, any admin that you're doing, any networking that you're doing, any big picture or nitty-gritty stuff that keeps the ball rolling. And then you have time or tasks that you spend working in your business. So that's actually coaching clients, actually running events, actually facilitating workshops, writing reports, writing strategies, or being at your store selling product. So there's two kinds of levels of categories. You'll see here that I have a fairly small list. This is going to change for everybody, but essentially you want to think about when and how you're open and how much time you spend doing all these things. Now, I know that the idea of coming up with these numbers can be somewhat anxiety inducing, especially if you haven't run a business yet and you're just kind of planning things, or if you just really legit feel like you have no sense. And what I want to tell you is, and this is going to be a refrain through most of my videos, is this is all about active experimentation. So you don't need to have it perfect the first time. It's probably not going to be perfect. These are guesses for me as well. But we want to just do a best guess job and then take the time to actually implement and observe a little bit so that we can get closer and closer to really real numbers over time. So there's two ways that we can do this. You can literally make a list like I've done here and then estimate the number of hours per week. So what you'll see here, for example, is I'm like, okay, I'd like to work with 8 clients per week. I know that it's about 2 hours per session per client, so that means I need 16 hours per week to do this coaching. I know that I spend about 6 weeks doing marketing per week, so that's planning, writing blogs, making videos, posting everything. Spend about 3 hours doing accounting, 2 doing business planning. I've said I'm going to do about 2 events per month. Let's just change that to per week so that our numbers match up. So that's 16 hours per week where I'm running an 8-hour event. I've got business admin time and networking time. And if I add that all up per week, I've landed at 53 hours. Well, what we can see is, if we go back to my other schedule here, I only have 30 hours a week on some weeks and 46 on others. So I am quite a few hours above the actual amount of time I have to spend, which would make sense why I constantly feel stressed out or like there's never any way to always get my list done. The other way that you could do this, if writing a list and kind of mapping things out doesn't work as well for you, is you could take your grid and you could start to chunk things in. Now again, remember this is just a thought exercise, so it doesn't need to be literally when you do things. It's almost like trying to put the Lego pieces together and seeing where things fit. So for example, I could say, great, Monday mornings are going to be marketing time from noon to 12, and Fridays are going to be accounting time from noon to 12. I know I'm going to do coaching on Tuesday nights. No, I want it to stay the same day. 9 p.m. And I know my things. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on May 15th, May 16th. That's what we want, May 15th. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on Wednesday nights. So I just start to fill things in and see where they go. And that helps me to see how quickly I'm eating up my time and where I might need to move things around. So step 1, we've looked at our ideal schedule. We've tried to block off any times that we don't want to be working. Step 2, we do the math to find out how many hours it actually takes per week, per month to run our business. So now what do we do? Well, what we do is we use this as information for prioritizing. So what that might mean is we start to bring in the reality of our calendar. So maybe I actually do spend a lot of time working at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. a lot of days. Maybe I actually end up working late at night sometimes. So we could be willing to kind of soften some of these ideals that we have to make more time for ourselves. Or we can start to look at the work I need to do list and go, okay, well, what if I downed this to 8 hours or 4 clients per week? Would that make things more reasonable? And what if I got someone else to help me with my marketing so that I was only doing 2 hours per week and someone else was doing 6? And what if I decided I was only going to do one of these? Does that make things more reasonable? This also helps you to take the steps of prioritizing things in your business. So if I had coaching clients, events, and maybe a podcast that I was running, as well as, let's say, like a weekly program. And I just found that by trying to do all those things, I was going to be working 100 hours a week. Now would be the time to look at that and go, okay, between the coaching and the podcast and the weekly program, which one is the most fun, the most enjoyable? Which one makes me the most money? Which one is the best investment for my business? And which ones should I cut in order to make more time for myself to do well at fewer things? So when we see the reality of how much time we actually have to work, we can get really clear about our priorities and also narrow our ideas. So it's a really great strategy that way. The other thing I want to point out here is that this is what helps us to do pricing. Again, topic for another video, but what you can see here is if I've determined that I only have time for 4 clients a week, if I set an income goal for the month, then I can figure out if I can only see 4 clients a week, that's 16 clients a month, how much do I need to charge per client in order to make the money that I want to make? So that's when we start to get into the pricing piece, but we'll talk about that in another video. The third piece of the scheduling activity, which is totally optional, is for folks to start to kind of time chunk those key tasks in their business. So you might have done it that way as a way to calculate in step 2, but if you're looking for a way to kind of organize all this free time you have a bunch of stuff to do, but figuring out when and how to get it done seems challenging. Time chunking is a really great technique. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but it could be one to experiment with. And that's where you decide that instead of doing your accounting in fits and spurts throughout the week, you save all of your accounting tasks and you do them at a certain time and a certain day each week. Instead of doing your marketing in fits and spurts throughout the week, you set a time to do it in the week when you know that's going to be best for you. You decide when you're going to do your coaching hours. You decide when you're going to do course creation. Some things can be really routine. Some things might not be. You could also map out what's real for you. So if you run a store and Wednesday is typically delivery day and that's when you usually get stuff in, then you know that on Wednesdays you're going to be at the store doing shipping, receiving, and maybe you need an extra staff person that day. You also may know what your hours are going to be and what days of the week you're going to be doing other things. So you can use this as a template to draw up kind of an ideal schedule for yourself. And then you just implement an experiment. And really the idea is to not use this as a rigid guideline. The idea is to say, okay, I'm going to try this for a month, and then I'm going to look back and I'm going to see what happens. And when we look back and when we see what happens, we can see, oh, I actually spent half the time on marketing that I thought, so I'm way more efficient there. Great. But I spent twice as long doing this. Or I need to plan way more time for transition between things, so doing my marketing really depletes me, and I need to do something that's going to fill me up afterwards. Or I thought coaching in the evenings was going to work for me, and it actually really doesn't. So this process of active observation and experimentation in your business is really, really useful on a lot of fronts for giving you really good information that will keep you loving your business instead of resentful of it, feeling productive and effective, and pricing in a way that's going to make you profitable. So that is the scheduling activity. Download the templates, take a play with them. I'd love to hear your comments. You can email hello@smartpopups.com and share your insights. Share them on our Facebook page. How did this work for you? How have you tweaked it to make it work for you? and what results maybe have you seen from implementing this into your business planning. We'll catch you next time.